Keith, one of your backers is Lionsgate, obviously huge offline presence in media. What has their perspective brought to your business?
I think, so we started partnering with them in June of '07. And I think one of the reasons behind that was we wanted to learn more about what the studio perspective was. And I think they've really been at the forefront through a number of their partnerships and trying to expand distribution. So they're partners with Epix and the channel Epix, which essentially opened up online before it opened up on cable, and so you could stream movies. They're partners with FearNet, which is a very large presence. And I think their attitude is, we own content, let's figure out the ways to exploit it. And they're doing that through those partnerships, through us and through YouTube. So it's been great to see someone who wants to experiment in the space and test new distribution platforms as much as they have.
What is the overall perspective of online video from studios and networks?
I think generally they're very scared about it, as they probably should be. They've existed in this closed system for a long time, which increasingly has gotten more open. Originally had 3 networks. We were talking the other day about how the nightly news used to have a 30 share, and now the Super Bowl barely gets a 30 share. And so their world has changed so dramatically, and that fragmentation has created new opportunities to distribute content, which excites them. But unfortunately, each of those new avenues seems to be less profitable than the avenues they had before. And I think they're looking at this as saying, we can now distribute our content everywhere, but for free. Right, and so they're a little concerned by it.
So does TV have a place on the web? Like, what is the perfect marriage of this?
Absolutely. I think Hulu has demonstrated that kind of content will certainly play well, and we've got a partnership with Hulu, and people come to our site and enjoy that content. I think the question is, in short form in particular, will what works on television work on the internet? And it doesn't seem to be the case at all. Historically, it's not been the case. The exciting part for us is actually what happens in the next few years as convergence happens, and is there a real difference between TV distribution and web distribution over time? Is there, if you're looking at one screen and that screen is your television, and you can seamlessly go back and forth, is Break.com have the potential to be a cable channel that migrates into doing more long-form type content? And are the existing networks going to have the opportunity to do short-form but profitable interstitials potentially? Right.
You guys last year bought HBO Labs. Was their experimental online video presence. Was that seen as a big failure in the industry, or?
I mean, certainly it's been remarkable for us that we were motivated to do the deal because we were having a great success in our original content efforts, and in particular on the branded content side. We'd seen a tremendous uptake from our advertisers and the products we were offering there. I think what HBO saw was they were having great success creating compelling content, but HBO is not a sales company. They don't even have a sales force. It's under their charter. They're not allowed to sell ads. And they wanted to see that content get more widely distributed and monetized. And so we were in LA, we were a perfect partner for it.
But you bought it outright?
Yeah, we bought it outright. Although they still have legacy rights to some of the content created previously.
Of course, hooked up and the shows. Are you looking for similar content or acquisitions?
We're always keeping our eyes open for anything that seems to be fitting for either our audience segment, which is young guys, or can expand either the content we create in the video segment or the distribution we have. So we're actively looking. We've got a team that is out there, and it's been tough to find deals. Just everyone's expectations are too high.
So prime time is now not 8 to 10. It's now noon to 2 when everybody's on their lunch break. How are you guys capitalizing on that, and what does that mean for networks and studios?
I think our approach has always been, I think one of the reasons we've been successful across our sites is we stick to schedules and we stick to frequent content updates. And I think the way we capitalize on that is if you're our average person and we know you're going to come to us at specific hours, we need to make sure there's refreshed content on there as much as possible during that time frame. Increasingly, what's interesting is on the advertiser side, we're starting more and more to target day parts in advertising. I think one of the most exciting developments in the advertising front will be seeing how that happens. So you'll start seeing Chili's ads, for example, around lunchtime, something that already happens effectively on television, but we haven't really seen yet too much on the internet, and I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that. So both from a content and an advertising standpoint, we're trying to migrate to that model as well in certain cases.
Now on content for the legacy or incumbent studios and networks, are any of them doing anything forward-thinking or experimental online?
I think they've all had their bits and pieces where they've tried stuff, and I think Fox still has a studio internally that is devoted to testing and piloting concepts. I think the individual showrunners on the networks are increasingly building it into their shows. I think the guys who run How I Met Your Mother seem to be doing it really effectively. It's a show on CBS, and they frequently build in web concepts, properties, and jokes into the show, and then build up existing web presences for those already. So they'll mention something on the show, and there'll be a fully dedicated website to it that'll already be SEO optimized. So I think the networks and studios themselves have come in and out of the space a couple times over the last few years. I think more and more the creators themselves are actually finding ways they can innovate in this space as well, though.
So what does the partnership or collaboration between these two worlds, offline and online, look the next couple years? Is it just sort of going to be a trial and error to see what happens, or is it going to combine into one? What are your predictions?
Yeah, in the 2-year time frame, I think what happens is the networks and the studios continue to source content and ideas from the internet because it's a testing ground. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're going to make their own and test it there, but certainly they're going to look for stuff that is working and leverage that to make books, TV shows, movies potentially. And that's sort of what they've been doing very slowly over the last few years. I think that pace is accelerating. Things can catch the zeitgeist very quickly and then translate into other platforms. I think in a longer time horizon, what you're seeing is the budgets that guys like us have for creating content and monetizing our properties continue to go up and up. A few years ago, if we spent $25 on a video, it would be a huge budget for us. And now we spend thousands of dollars for a 1-minute video, which is not too different than digital cable. And as our monetization and distribution capabilities continue to improve, I think you'll see us looking for ways we can expand on our own properties and us searching the web to capitalize. So the next few years, there's definitely an incumbent advantage by those players. But I think in the longer time frame, we're all basically going to be equals from an exploitation standpoint.
Great. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.